Hello, beautiful. I'm your host, Nicole Goff. Welcome to the Ecstatic Life Podcast, the podcast for women who want to live fully embodied, nervous system regulated, open-hearted, radiant, and alive. Here we explore the practices, modalities, and lived rhythms that return you to yourself, to your heart, to your body, your intuition, and your divine spark. This podcast is for women who are ready to awaken their inner creatrix, activate their inner manifester, and remember, an ecstatic life isn't a destination. It's the path we're walking together.
Hello, and welcome back to the Ecstatic Life Podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Goff, and today I am here with Allison Anderson, who goes by Allie, and she is an intuitive psychic medium, trance channeler, and energy worker who weaves together somatic healing and spiritual guidance for deep transformation. In addition to her background as a holistic nurse, she is a mom, a podcast host, a certified Reiki master, psychedelic integration specialist, an initiative of the Modern Mystery School, and she brings that's quite a list
mouthful,
there.
Yeah.
She brings a grounded, integrative approach to helping others remember who they are and align with their highest path. So welcome, Allie. It's so good to have you on here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here, Nicole. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I know it's a mouthful, and to be completely honest, I'm at a point in my life where like none of it matters. Like I'm just doing what I do. I always say, like, I'm a jack of all trades and a master of none, except Reiki and now somatics, because I am certified in the somatics and Reiki. I love podcasting. I'm a mom to teens, and I'm just so happy to be here that we connected. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and so you're are you in New Jersey?
I'm New York. I'm Long
New York.
Island. Yeah, I'm right outside of the city.
Ah, and I'm down in Florida.
Love it. I actually have a lot of family there. My parents are there, my brother, yeah. Aunts, uncles, cousins. So what part? Can I ask what part?
I am in North Florida, close to Jacksonville.
Okay, I was just in St. Augustine and Cape Canaveral, and I grew up going to St. Augustine every summer. The Oasis restaurant, I don't know if you know the Oasis on A1A. That was my dad's best friend from like kindergarten growing up on Long Island. That was his place forever. So I was just there in February.
Oh, that's so funny.
I love the history. I love it. I've done haunted tours there as a kid, and I can't wait to do it as an adult. So
I'm like an hour from there. So next time you come visit,
yes,
gotta hit me up.
Okay. This is getting better and better. All right, cool. I'm excited.
I have never been to New York. I actually haven't made it north of Tennessee. So I haven't been to like the upper East Coast at all, which is a shame because there's just so much history there, so much culture. There's so much, but yeah, that's a part of America I have not explored yet. So
all right, yes, for anytime, come through. Yeah. It's fun. We lived in North Carolina for a little bit, for a few years, but we came back. There's nothing like New York. So I always tell people, anytime you want to come, I'll show you a good time. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, so I would love to start kind of with your like origin story, I would like to call it, your background story. And I know you were really like deep in the medical industrial complex, really deep in the allopathic, medical world. And you're not the first person I've heard this from. You were also very, very sick at that time. And surprisingly, maybe not. These two things seem to go hand in hand. So
yeah, shocker. They never taught us that emotion is everything in nursing school. Just FYI. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't teach you a lot about health and healthcare. So
no, definitely not.
But yeah, I'd love if you could tell us that backstory.
Yeah, of course. So, I'm Allie Anderson. I am 39 years old. I've been a nurse since I'm 21 years old. I knew that, at 16, when I had to start looking at colleges, I knew I wanted to be a nurse, and I had watched several grandparents pass on hospice. I had lost a brother when I was 3. And I watched my parents, just go through that kind of stuff. And I've always just had this desire to help other people. And looking back, it's like a whole story. Like it goes into theology even, like I can't even express. So, I went to University of Tampa for a year where I had way too much fun, as my dad says, on the floor in Florida. Partied in Ybor City a little too much, so my GPA was not amazing for their nursing program. So I came home, went to SUNY Farmingdale, which is one of our state schools. It was an associate's program, and I had 3 jobs: waitressing, wiping butts as a patient care associate in the hospital. So that's how I started out, like doing bed baths, and a telemetry technician. Like I can look at the heart monitor and know like what rhythms are fatal, what's not, kind of thing. I was doing that. The hospital paid for my nursing school, which was kind of cool, but it was only an associate's degree. But I got out at 21. I did an ER fellowship, a level 1 trauma ER fellowship in Metro New York on Long Island, which was basically you did clinicals for a year in every area of the hospital, but then you ended up working full-time in the ER. I worked as a staff nurse. I did pediatric ER for a while. I then segued into like, I was a supervisor. I had kids at early. I had bought my first house at 22, had a kid out of wedlock at 23. My parents were so proud. And, the Irish Catholic, like we had to have the whole wedding and everything. So I was doing everything that I thought I was supposed to do by the book, right? Just a little bit backwards. And we moved to North Carolina. I worked down there as a nurse at UNC Chapel Hill in the ER, and I learned so much. I was also told by several patients that they wanted a new nurse when I walked in the room because I was a Yankee, which was very interesting. That was like a whole nother, I don't know, I segue. I also like, my stories segue. I take an hour to tell a 30-second story. So it was great life experience. I hated being a nurse down there. So I went into hospice nursing. I worked in a Hodunk ER where like literally like teenagers were coming in giving birth to children. They didn't even tell their parents that they were pregnant, like, and then Narcan, like, constant drug overdoses. It was in middle of nowhere, this ER. That was a wild experience. And I loved it all. I always thrived on adrenaline, and that was just kind of the person I was. I drank 3 large Dunkin' Donuts iced coffees a day. I smoked 2 packs of Marlboro Lights a day. And I drank as much as I could when I didn't have to be responsible as a mom. And that's how I got through it all. And then fast forward, we moved. I had a total mental breakdown in 2016 and basically walked into an ER in Raleigh, North Carolina, and was like, I can't do life anymore. I was on a bunch of pharmaceuticals. I was getting sick at that time in 2015. I started losing my grip in things and my legs were giving out. I was having a lot of back pain and stomach issues. I was gaining weight. I was losing weight. They started sending me to rheumatologists, and
you were only 29.
At that point, so that was 2015, I started getting sick. So I was born in 87. So yeah, like 28, 29 years old. I had at that point, I had a 5 and 6-year-old, working full time, working nights. My husband had a full-time Monday to Friday job. We had no family in North Carolina at the time, mind you. And I was miserable because I hated being a nurse. We lived in a mansion. We were on an acre. Like we were living the life. We had a fucking golf cart. Can I curse on here? I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So we had a golf cart. We had multiple vehicles. Like, we were living the life, and I was fucking miserable. I was on benzos, narcotics, muscle relaxers. I was on gabapentin, Lyrica. I was getting 125 Norcos a month. I was getting 120 muscle relaxers a month, plus Klonopin, plus Xanax, plus SSRIs. They were throwing things at me, telling me I had MS, telling me I had lupus, telling me I had at one point neuromuscular diseases, autonomic failure. They didn't know what the hell was wrong with me. Ehlers-Danlos, I don't know if anyone's familiar, where like double jointed because I'm very flexible, but I did a lot of yoga. Like, I don't know. So it was always a mystery. So when we moved back from North Carolina in 2017, I'm sorry, after my like mental breakdown, because I was just overwhelmed with life. I didn't know what was wrong with me. They had me on all these medications to try and cover it. And I was never somebody who drank and took pills at the same time. However, one night I just literally had such, my ego took over, and I had such a dark night of the soul that I took 7 milligrams of Klonopin, drank a bottle and a half of wine, and drove myself to the local ER. And I had never driven drunk. My dad is an alcoholic, so I had never, ever, ever wanted to drive drunk. I grew up being in car accidents because of preventable incidences, and just an experience that it was just the lowest point in my life. So we moved back to New York in 2017. I'm doing research and education, trauma injury prevention research and education for a local trauma center. So I'm not bedside, but then during the pandemic, I was still undergoing, reestablished care with all specialists in the city when I moved back to try and figure out what was going on. And I was ultimately diagnosed in 2019 while working full-time in this job with gastroparesis, esophageal dysmotility, small fiber neuropathy, neurogenic bladder. I'm trying to think of POTS, orthostatic hypotension, thermoregulatory issues like hypohidrosis, but also like sensory autonomic neuropathy. So ultimately it's this autonomic neuropathy, right? So I had a syringiomelia, which is a syrinx, which is a cyst inside of your spinal cord. And what else? So then 2019, I was supposed to have a gastric pacemaker placed. And because my weight got so bad, I couldn't eat. I was on all these pharmaceuticals. I failed Canadian drugs that are illegal in the US. Like my doctors here in the US were like smuggling me drugs from Canada so that I didn't have to have like NG tubes for tube feedings.
Because obviously the answer was more drugs.
Yes. So I was falling for it. I was a walking zombie. Like I was a full-time working mom. Mind you, like I didn't, at one point I remember they when I moved back to New York, they weren't giving me Norcos or Percocets. They were giving me Tramadol. And I remember Tramadol, I remember one day I was in so much pain because I did but I didn't know that it was my body trying to tell me, Allison, you need to rid of like all this shit. And so yeah, I went down like the deep Western medicine path, like trusting. So much so I trusted a surgeon that I knew from 2008 when I became a nurse. I knew him. I knew his reputation. He was a bariatric surgeon. So for gastroparesis, I had a pyloroplasty, and it was a robotic surgery, and it was at the hospital that I had worked at, my stomping grounds. And I was sent home. I had testing after done to make sure that I wasn't bleeding internally. They told me everything looked good. I signed the discharge papers. I went home. And within 48 hours, my husband was scooping me up off the bathroom floor because I was vomiting what's referred to as coffee ground emesis, which if anybody's familiar, that means that there's like an acute active GI bleed and you're going to die if you don't go to the hospital and someone doesn't fix it. So I ended up in the trauma bay. That, mind you, this is the surgeon who I trusted. I ended up in the trauma bay that I worked in for the first 5 years of my career. And I had a complete out-of-body experience. I was hovering above myself. I had to be re-intubated. I had to have blood transfusions. I was saying my last goodbyes to my husband and my parents. Mind you, I had really horrific pregnancies, like really scary experiences with my pregnancies. I was severely preeclamptic. Like I had to be surgically sterilized at 25 because like I would have been in, the 1900s, a woman who died from an eclamptic seizure both times. So, or, only once, but yeah, so I'm not shy to like a near death, like a near like, holy shit, what's happening experience. But this was a multidimensional complete like what they study at Johns Hopkins and, you know, all over the country, all over the world, like knowing nothing was ever going to be the same. And I still remember to this day, they lost my glasses, by the way, the hospital, which I was kind of pissed off about. They lost my in the mix of all of it, but that's a whole nother story. That's just like something we joke about. Like, I survived, but they lost my freaking glasses. Like, are you kidding me? And I'm blind as a bat. So, but no, I remember going down the hallway, and that just reminded me because I had put my glasses like in the thing behind the stretcher, and I'm going down the hallway looking at my husband going, that could be the last time I see my husband. Like, and so they reintubated me, and in that procedure, totally out of body, again, seeing what was happening, the surgeon came, like rushed to the hospital, holding my hand. And I remember them talking about, like, I was above, and my dad's friend had passed just a few years prior, one of his childhood friends, and that friend was with me, like with his arm around me. And if you've seen like old movies where like, or just in general in shows like where they're looking above from the operating room kind of thing, like, and they're looking through the glass, like that's kind of what it was. And I just remember there was like this panel. It was like a extraterrestrial type panel kind of thing with like these lights and these glistening things, but like it was almost like a screen into what I was seeing and hearing, and them talking about, oh yeah, like that was, you know, that we have to cinch that, and they couldn't get a clip on, so they had to like cauterize it. And like I remember all of this, and I woke up in the ICU to my husband and my nurse standing there with total auras. And mind you, I've basically been a psychic medium since I'm like a kid, a teenager. I've had extraterrestrial experiences as a kid. I've had multidimensional experiences. I've always just kind of been somebody who like tells you something and it happens. But because of the trauma I endured, I guess, as like an adolescent, I pretty much shut it down and stifled my throat chakra. I never did anything with it. So this, you're coming back and nothing will ever be the same. Here I am, and I've walked away from corporate. I did work during the pandemic. I got pulled from that non-clinical position. I worked in the tents and the ER, but at that point, because of my health, I was only part-time. And it actually, I think because of the stress on my body, my physical body, and the mentality, like I was doing tents and the ER, so mostly tents, so mass casualty triage. So like the cars coming through, and I was triaging people, you know, people foaming at the mouth, people who couldn't speak English, and I'm separating families. And normally a family member can go in to be the translator for that patient, but I'm like, shit, this person's gonna die. No, sorry, you can't come in. And they're probably sitting in the hallway. Nobody can communicate with them, and they're probably gonna die. Like, so I was just like, I ended up needing a cane. I was using a cane daily. I couldn't eat. And I was like, what the fuck am I doing? And I walked away. I was finally, my husband and I were in a financial place. Like I had dwindled down my hours, and I used up all my FMLA, all of my, like, you know, everything that I could, every hour that I could, because I knew I was fucking done, because I saw what healthcare was doing. I used to sit at the round table with the CEOs and the VPs and the suits, I called them, and I would pitch them marketing for research and development. I could tell them that I would save a bajillion lives, and I could, you know, I could help the geriatric population like never before, or the osteoporotic women like never before in preventative health medicine. Their only question every single fucking time is, what is the ROI?
Of course.
So I was like, done. So I walked away. My nervous system thanked me within a month. And that was in October of 2021. And I was already practicing Reiki at that point. I was already a Reiki master. I was on the Holistic Nursing Council. I was doing Reiki for the staff. Like I was helping out with that. And I taught Tai Chi. I was a Tai Chi instructor. So I really started learning about energy with that role, that research and education role. And I really started getting into energy. I went to Panchakarma retreats. I got into Ayurveda more, like deeper, really. I strive to live an Ayurvedic lifestyle, and just through that, I'm obsessed with the blue zones. So I changed my entire diet, my nutrition, I changed my entire life. I stopped drinking. I went from being on over a dozen pharmaceuticals I kid you not, I am now down to my very last pharmaceutical that I'm working now with a functional medicine doctor for like my neuroendocrine health to be able to get off. So now
Ooh.
so now I empower other women and men actually. And it's interesting because it's typically in my community. I have a very good local like word of mouth, and I just started with Reiki, and then I went into quantum healing, Akashic Records. I went into, I'm a initiate of the Modern Mystery School International, which is the only public mystery school in the world. It's of the King Solomon lineage. And I learned how to hone in on my energy because for a very long time, I was very scared of my energy and my abilities. And I did not understand what any of it meant. And to be honest, I think that's a huge reason why I committed myself, which was an experience I needed to have. Like it was a part of me that just kind of like, I never want to be back in this situation. Like, this is not who I am. I think that was really like the beginning of like, they were forcing us like, well, if you don't take your medicine, you're not going to get out of here. If you don't go to the group therapy, you're not going to get out of here. Like, so you had to play and you had to put on a show. Like you were playing by their rules. Otherwise, like I remember patients going into the room with their Suboxone and like, yeah, I took it. And then like they'd come out and be like, yeah, I fucking snorted it. I went in the bathroom and I snorted it. Like, it's like, it was just an environment where I'm like, I don't belong here. Like, this is not, like, I was told at one point I was bipolar. I was told I had um, cyclothymia, which was like a mood disorder. So I was on all these mood meds. I was never on like, anything for bipolar, but in the psych ward, they had me on Geodon, which let me tell you, my husband came with a lawyer to get me out because it was a whole fucked up situation. And he was like, he's like, you weren't even alive. You weren't even in your body.
Yep. Yep.
And I swore to myself that this was not who I was, and I needed to get to the root of it. And I have dedicated every moment of every single day of my life since I started meditating in 2018 to do that for myself and then to spread that to humanity. And I've now been talking for like 20 minutes, and I'm sorry. That's what I
do. This is awesome. That was riveting.
Thank you. And product development. I sell stuff too, so.
I want to double click on something. The
Okay.
NDE. Can you?
Yes.
So this has been a subject that I've been very interested in recently. I've been listening to the telepathy tapes.
Yes, I love the telepathy tapes.
I found that probably like 9 months ago, and I've just binged it. It's like so binge worthy.
Same.
Recently, the last few episodes, they've been talking about NDEs. So this is like at top of mind. Can you go a little deeper into that experience?
Of course. So for a long time, when I came back from that experience, I knew that something had happened, but I really didn't understand. And the only words, even to this day, and that was 7 years ago, to this day, all I can say is something happens and I just knew nothing was ever going to be the same. Now, today, I can tell you that I know that my mission is what I'm doing in this now. And it is to, in my delusional mind, that I am to build a 7-8 figure brand to just empower people. And that is what I got out of that experience. That's where it's led me. And it's interesting you asked that because I am obsessed with this as well. My mother-in-law years ago introduced me to Many Lives, Many Masters by Dr. Brian Weiss, which is all about like past lives and hypnosis. And so after I had this experience, I started researching about other people's experiences. And I actually kind of felt less than because I didn't actually die. Like I wasn't, like I know people who actually coded, who actually died. And I was like, well, my heart was always beating. The machine was breathing for me, but like, I mean, I guess I eventually would have died. So I had a lot of like, I guess, survivor's remorse. I'm just realizing right in this now. So, I mean, it was just an experience that led me to doing quantum healing hypnosis technique. I knew in my everything, that there is more to this life. Like, I was a Eucharistic minister. I was in my church choir. I was just like, and I suddenly, that was the theological tie. When I was 13 years old, my mom is Jewish, my dad is Catholic, and I was raised with my brothers, really like celebrating everything. But when I was 13, I had not an apparition, but an experience. I always felt connected to the Blessed Mother and Mary Magdalene. And I told my parents that I wanted to receive my holy sacraments. And I really didn't do anything in the church until we moved back to New York, and my kids were in religious ed, and now I'm really not. So I also now, since that experience, have a tie to St. Thomas Aquinas. And out of all the churches in all the world, in all the lands, a few years ago, his skull was brought from France to the church up my block, where I'm the Eucharistic minister and in choir. And I met his skull, and I fell to my knees, and I was just like, thank you, thank you, thank you. Please show me the way. So I have felt like everything that has happened since that NDE has just been a surrender. It's been a mind fuck and a complete surrender. I have shed so many layers of who I am, and living in no shame and no fear. And I think the greatest takeaway, like I mean, we're in the spiritual community and the women's empowerment. So I really do empower women to not have shame over their sexuality, their sensuality, and who they are, and being free. I'm openly bisexual. I'm polyamorous. I've been married for 16 years. Like, my husband and I are non-ethical monogamy. Like, we have been separated and divorced and then back together now for 12 years. So like, I really just, it has brought me to this place where I thought I was just going to be this little ER nurse my whole life. And like, now I'm here, and I've done quantum healing hypnosis technique with Dolores Cannon, and every single life I am either a prostitute, an escort. And I had one life where I said the name, and they're all recorded. If you've ever done quantum healing hypnosis technique, I said, it's recorded, and I said the name Smith, Mayor Smith in New York City in the 1900s. And there is a mayor, I believe Al Smith, in the 1900s, and I was like his secret. And yeah, it was like, I've been my dad sold me to slavery in one life because he was a drunk and the town fool, and I became a pirate ship slave. And another life, my husband was a pioneer in the wheel industry back in like the Industrial Revolution. And every single life I did for everyone else but myself. And I feel like that's the lesson I'm learning in this life: to have no shame, no fear, and just play the game. And that's what I learned from all of that. And that really, 41% of Americans apparently have a spiritual experience. 60% of them do nothing about it, or something like that. Don't quote me on those numbers.
Yeah, so it's not surprising to me that 60% of people don't do anything about it, because that tends to be, I think, not just with near-death experiences or any instruction you're getting from a higher power in any way. I think most people aren't in tune with their intuition. They aren't in tune, and they don't trust themselves. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. Oh my gosh. So there was like so much juicy stuff there. I'm like, which direction to even go? Like, I'm like, oh, like you're talking of like ping, ping, ping. There's like so many directions we could go with that.
I know. I mean, while you think that is what, so like on my website, I have a free psychic challenge, and you just click on courses on my website, and you can watch 5 modules, and in an afternoon, you can learn how to tap into each clair and trust your intuition and use it every day. Like, what is sensual? Sensual is just to feel, touch, feel, taste, smell, see, and hear, right? And our extrasensory perceptions, plus other extrasensory perceptions that I talk about, that is your intuition, and that is what carries you through life. So that's like one of my favorite things to talk about, I think, overall, is to just trust, like you said.
Yeah, let's go there for a minute too, because I think it's really important, because we get this beat out of us. And like you said, you were a very tapped in kid. You had the extrasensory abilities, which are just senses. I mean, why do we I don't even need to talk to
Yeah, people can get all nitpicky. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they are
Yeah.
just senses. We have so many more senses. I think total we have like 36 different senses. And some of those are like, stuff going like gastrointestinal stuff, whatever. But we have these senses, intuition, and we're not just not encouraged, but we're really like demonized when we show any kind of like proclivity or open up about these things. And so you said like by the time you were a teenager you would shut that all down.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I even into my 30s, and it took me until this near death experience. It actually took me even after that. So I would say that was 2019. I am very vocal on my podcast and my blog and my social media accounts about my story in the church. About being open, about being a Reiki master and utilizing my intuition. So I had one experience in particular that completely changed my relationship with the church when our pastor, I would go to daily mass. So when I stopped drinking, I didn't go to AA. I did a Christian women's group, and I've never been very religious. Because I've always had this like mystical witchy side. Like I've always felt like I didn't belong. Like I'm going to walk in the door and the place is going to, I'm going to burst into flames. So that's a joke in my family. My dad is one of 9 siblings, and it's just like a joke. Like you walk into church, we're all going to burst in flames. So it's just been like this journey of going to daily mass to becoming a Eucharistic minister to I do love to sing the word of God, because what is the word of God? It is high frequency. So when I do sing certain songs, I do feel chills. Like I do feel angelic presence, and in my mind's eye, I can feel it clairsentiently, and I just claircognizantly know, like there is something to this aspect of the church, the singing.
Even just churches themselves,
Oh, the
because
holy
the
sacred
architecture
space.
and the holy sacred
100%.
space,
So yeah.
there's so much there. But I think that what has happened is that the structure, which I will say the same thing with the patriarchal structure that has shaped most of our society and is in church, the top down, you've got somebody up here saying, the only way to God is through me.
Oh, yeah. Like says who? Says who? So this experience that I had, being a good girl, going to church, I would go to confession also a few times a week. I confessed a lot of things, and one day I just blabbed out because I had been doing psychic readings. I was making really good money, but I was also questioning that old religious programming in my subconscious, right? Like, you shouldn't be doing this. And I had people in my women's Christian drinking group sending me private messages with Bible scripture and telling me that I'm a magician and a trickster, and then I went to confession one day and I had this energetic experience that completely took me over, that I actually passed out in the confession booth while telling the priest that I was intuitive, that I can speak to the dead, that I can speak to, I'm multidimensional. I do a lot of shamanic work, that I don't just believe in the church. He told me I was dangerous, that I needed to stop all my healings. How dare I go around saying I have a gift? It's not black and white. And who do I think I am? And I passed out. That's all I remember. I remember sitting there and hearing his words, and I swear to you, it is like something entered. My angels took over. I feel like it was also St. Thomas Aquinas. I'll get to that in a second if that's okay. That just I didn't need to hear that. And I woke up with the priest with a bottle of water in my face, me on the floor in the pew, and him telling me to get out because the next person needed to come in. And I called my dad, and my dad was like, Allie, they're humans too. And my dad went to Catholic school his whole life, and he doesn't go to church. And that kind of shifted something in my perspective. Like, he was triggered. whether it was theologically, like in his profession, because to me at this point, priests are just people who took a job where they're sacrificing their sexual nature, and or are they hiding something because we just had to listen to our priest talk about how we need to donate money to the diocese because they had to delve out billions of dollars for sexual abuse allegations.
Yep.
Collecting money every week, like it's, like we're stupid, we're sheep. I say all the time, we're sheep, and I always go bah, like and I'm a Eucharistic minister. I believe in the power of Christ. I believe when I am handing you, if you are in a state of grace of receiving, I am handing you something that is of high frequency in my mind, but I also don't know. That is also something I struggle with. What are they putting into this? What is the energy actually being put into this, and what are people receiving? So I have not given the Eucharist in a while. And St. Thomas Aquinas and I, my boy, and Albert Einstein, but St. Thomas Aquinas and I have had meditations, and in Sedona, it got even more intense, and since has been intense, where I'm just going to go ahead and say this, that I have had meditative experiences of dragon energies where we shapeshift into dragons and we fly around, and I'm some Empress Aladana in some other planet who is helping to liberate their people. And it's like every time I see it in meditation, and I'm a huge meditator, like every time I see it, it's like I'm in a video game. And it's really fucking cool. I have no fucking clue what it is, but I'm their empress and I'm all for it, and I'm for it in this earth. And that's just what I do. I don't know who I am, what I do.
Do you think that could be projection into a future life?
I definitely think so. I feel a lot. So my son has told us since he was little, our son, that he's from the future. And so I have no doubt that a lot of what we see, what we experience in the sky, the extraterrestrial, the unknown objects, I have always felt as though it is our future projection that is coming forward, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all, so to me, I'm definitely in a space of, I can believe almost anything at this point.
Oh, yeah.
My 19-year-old loves to make fun of me because I'm like, well, flat Earth makes as much sense as a globe Earth. And she's like, oh my gosh, Mom, you're so ridiculous. And I'm like, well, if you look at, there are people out there researching it and they're putting together some pretty damn good arguments. So
I'm a huge conspiracy theorist, so you can bring up any topic and I am willing to deep dive into it. It's one of my favorite things.
Me too. And I mean, when it comes to the cosmological stuff, I mean, when it comes to the inner exploration, like, there's a lot that can't be proven. But I'm definitely in this space of like, I'm open to most things and exploring most things.
Oh, yeah.
I have now, a pretty good sense of how I feel about the world. But, at this point, like, I'm open to it all.
Oh, yeah, same. And it reminds me when I worked in the ketamine clinic. So after I left nursing, I will never go back to like corporate healthcare again, but through word of mouth, a friend of mine was a patient at a ketamine clinic and for her own journey. And she was like, they need nurses. So I helped them, a little for like a year or so. And I helped them like move their clinic and get it started. I loved it. I got certified as their psychedelic somatic integration specialist. And I got to sit with patients who had otherworldly experiences and were saying things. And mind you, the reason that I got the job, I would do like the IVs, the vital signs, and then it turned into the integration. But when I worked in the pediatric ER, we used to reset bones with ketamine. And for those of you unfamiliar, ketamine is a synthetic. It is not a natural psychedelic. It's a synthetic drug that was developed in the 60s. It was actually called the buddy drug in the Vietnam War because they would give it like for anesthesia, essentially, because it is a conscious sedation. Or they'd pour some vodka on like, wounds. So in combination, it's antiseptic and anesthesia. So, where I'm going with this basically is that these patients, they have these in pediatrics, they would say things about Jesus. They would say things when we were resetting their bones, like, and adults too, but mostly children who are inherently connected to the universe, right? So until they're drowned out by all of us and humanity, and they would rap lyrics, like they would say things that just looking back, and we would just all look at each other like, how do they know these things? Like, Jesus is with you and Jesus knows everything you do, and but you don't have to worry because Jesus loves you. And like, if you just like, you just have to live, you don't have to go anywhere, you just have to be like, you know, like things like, I guess saying like, you don't have to be in a church, like just be a good freaking human. Or like they would just it's, and even the adults in the clinic, it's like they come in, and there was this one patient who, and people come in for all sorts of reasons, whether it's mental health or chronic pain, or there are people who you can walk into a clinic and you can pay out of cash because people are worried about having fentanyl in their street drugs. So if you meet the criteria for what the clinic is, you know, offering, then you can very well pay out of pocket to have these experiences. And I have had people in these experiences, and they say like, and people of all ages, it doesn't discriminate religions, anything, return to the source, return to the roots. Everything is love. I worked hospice, people on their deathbeds, from people living literally in a shack with no walls, sheets separating them, dirty as fuck, haven't bathed, sitting on a couch, living in squalor, are the happiest people I've ever met in my life, and on their deathbed tell you that was all about love, that none of it mattered. And then I've had the richest people in the world who on their deathbed are like, fuck, I fucked up. It was all about love. Like, it was never about the money, the meetings, the power, and Albert Einstein will tell you that he predicted all of this chaos that we're living in as a humanity. And he predicted that nuclear nuclear power was not going to be used for good, and that humans, the ego, was going to take over. He predicted a one world government, and also recommends a one world government, but that's a whole nother story. But it's just like, down to like, everything is energy. I don't know. That's my point.
And I think going back to what I was saying before too, like what I have figured out, luckily now in midlife and not on my deathbed, that is what it all comes back to. Like
Yes.
God is love, or the universe is love, however, and that is the purpose, to be in the vibration of love, to align
Self-awareness.
to align with the vibration of love, to live in love, to make all of our decisions from love, and to move in love. And that seems to be overarching. We're here having this human experience. We come back multiple times and try again, and it seems like the levels of the video game keep getting harder each time you come back.
Yeah. I love when people are like, oh, I'm finally healed. And I'm like, you're never gonna heal. And then there are people like, I don't even like to use the word healing, or that I help people heal, or healing's too exhausting. Like, why do I have to say the word heal? So like, then use the word evolve. There's always going to be something being thrown at you, and you're just going to have to be stoic and resilient. And no matter what, it's like, Siddhartha sat down under the tree and was like, I'm Buddha, I'm not getting up until I face every single demon and every single shadow. And he did. And he became enlightened. And that's the entire idea of it. Like, every lifetime, every experience is a lesson learned. And that's something I'm actually going to be talking about on my podcast too, is like, just literally having no shame. Like, whether it's just be who you are.
Yeah. I caught an episode of your podcast where you were talking about our cyclical nature as women. And this has been something that I've been talking. I just did a free cycle syncing workshop in my community. And yeah, so are you about to start your period too?
I am in my luteal phase right now.
Okay, because you had said in that podcast that you cycle with the full moon, and you're like,
Yeah, so
are you still cycling?
yeah, so I'm due for the full moon. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so me too. So
Oh, I love that you
I
remember that. That's awesome.
well, there's a reason why, because
Yeah,
you're like,
okay.
why? Most people cycle with the new moon, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I have discovered women who cycle with the full moon, there's a reason, because throughout history, most women will cycle with the new moon. And yet there was a subset of women, there's a subgroup of women that needed to care for those other women. And so those of us,
Yes,
me
I've
and you,
heard of that. I've heard of that.
so what are we doing? Like, we're here to heal other women. We're here to support other women. We're here to, to be there for them in that way, just like our ancestors would have been attending to them in the bleeding huts.
100%. And that's
Yeah.
return to your roots. Just that's what it's all about. Even if in modern day age, we can slow down, slow living, we can return to our roots. We can remember who we are. We are goddesses and gods, and it's safe to just be. And and we're all here for each other to empower each other. And yeah, when my lunar ceremonies episodes are my favorite thing to do, because I feel like it reminds you that no matter what the topic is, like we're always flowing, we're always evolving, we're always like there's always a season and a reason. I'm always learning. Like I'm not perfect by any means. And when you can get a handle on your cycle and your flow, and of course we're the ones to carry everyone. That's like the story of my life, right? But now doing it in a way that is in balance, divine feminine, divine masculine, doing it in a way that works for you, that works for me, doing it a way that is helping your self-expression and just reminding you that. So my next episode is also going to be a lot about like, I don't even know if I could say this, but like pussy power, like own no two pussies are alike, right? Like no two cosmic blueprints are alike. And unless you're a multiple, no fingerprints are alike. So just embrace that. Like we're all stuck up in our heads thinking the worst about ourselves. And a lot of it really is that like remembering that our ancestors like reminded us what's important: to be free, to be connected, to be to honor, to just everything. And that includes your body, that includes your sensuality, your sexuality. And I don't know why I keep going back to that, but it's just like a huge thing because it's a part of our cycle and our reproductive system and our sacral chakra and our root chakra. And
Well, and also going back to like the shame slaying, because I think it's
Mhm.
at its core, it's really this huge seat of shame for most women. And especially, I mean, you grew up in the Catholic Church, like there's the subset of women who grew up in the deeply religious populations that were extremely shamed in that way. And so, this is something that I've been working with recently. I just recently started speaking up about my sexual trauma. And that was something, that's at like the root of the healing work that I do.
Good for you.
But
Yeah, that's not easy.
it's not, and this is one of the things I've noticed. Like you can't say RAPE if I say the word. My podcast probably will get censored.
Really? That's crazy. Oh, wow. Yeah. I'm
There's
not one
certain
of those people too that like puts like asterisks and stuff. Like I say stuff, so I always find out too late what I can't say.
Oh yeah, YouTube took one of my videos down because I talked about one of the coffee enemas to cure the big C word, and you can't talk about that on YouTube.
No, I have a client on that. She can testify to it, but yeah, I can't talk about it. God
No, no,
forbid.
yeah, they gave me a cease and
Mm-mm.
desist. I had to go to YouTube boot camp and like, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Wow.
not allowed to talk about that. Not allowed to talk about the R word.
But we
So
can talk about Epstein all we want in World War III and politics and
that's
big
right.
pharma, right?
Yep, yep. And you can pretty much you can pretty much have free porn on like any platform.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's okay. Like if it's a
Yeah.
half naked girl, like whatever, but then like to talk about healing sexual abuse, that gets censored. So that's like right now where I'm at. It's like how do we start talking about these things? And pussy power, let's talk about
Yeah.
it. Like, how do we start
Yeah.
talking about these things in a way that are empowering for women? It's not like I want to go out talking about woe is me, I'm a victim. Like, oh, bad men did bad things to me and I'm a victim for the rest of my life. No, that shit made me the strongest person. And now I have used all of that pain and all of the things that I went through, and I have turned it around and created something beautiful, a beautiful internal
So
world, a
cool.
beautiful life, a beautiful, practice that I'm helping heal other women through. So it's like, how do we start weaving this stuff in a way that's like just normalized? It shouldn't be taboo. We shouldn't have to censor ourselves.
That is, first of all, you're a badass. And I think that that's amazing because that's what it's all about, right? Turning your pain into power. Where there's darkness, there is light. So those laws of the universe that we can't escape. So learning to neutralize it, learning to love it. So a few things you said, that just brought back memories. So I trained as a sexual assault nurse examiner. I actually tried to start a program in New York, and it just didn't. We ended up moving. So then when we moved to North Carolina, I trained at Duke to be sexual assault nurse examiner. And I had gone to I was a member of the International Forensic Nurses Association, went to a bunch of conferences on human trafficking, sexual assault, trauma. There really was not a lot of discussion on trauma. And this was 2013, I want to say, 2014, around there. Wilmington, Delaware, I remember that's where the conference was. And at the time, that was the biggest hub for human trafficking and prostitution because of the waterways. And I'm sorry, not Wilmington, North Carolina. And so I remember when I was doing my clinicals and hearing stories, and even just over the years of working in the ER, a lot of women coming in, not remembering the night before, sometimes multiple nights. Sometimes they woke up a few days later. I will never, ever, ever forget one girl coming in with her mother. She was terrified. She woke up in a car. Her mom couldn't find her for over 24 hours. And you can't report someone missing when they're an adult and they've gone out. And it's like, oh, they're an adult and they're fine. So, but she woke up in a car with no underwear, bloody, and like not beat up, but she knew that something happened. And I remember the hospital that I worked at, I was devastated because we were not equipped, but I was able to like give her direction on what to do. And in this moment now, if I could look back on everything that I know now, like if I decided towards the end of my clinical hours, like with the hours that were required, but also just at that time in my life, because I've had my own issues. I was very promiscuous as a teen, and I let a lot of boys at the time take advantage of me, and I should not have. I did not live in my power whatsoever. Um, so looking back, it's like to remind women, and then learning somatics and learning energy healing, learning about neuroplasticity. I've rewired my brain. I went from looking in the mirror in 2018, calling myself a piece of shit, to the next day, within 2 months, being like, oh, hello, who are you? I love you. We can rewire our brains no matter what our trauma is. I actually do have a friend who I love dearly, and she was like brutally in an alleyway
Mm.
in like New York City. And she has said to me, she's a therapist and she knows what I do. And she has looked me directly in the eyes to this day and said, I will never forgive that person. Desmond Tutu says, in a world full of genocide, there is room for forgiveness. But I cannot control that in my friend. And that is so hard for me because she deserves to be free. When we forgive, we don't forget. We still hold that individual accountable, of course. And then Desmond Tutu says that as well. What it is the energy of it. You are releasing it. And his book, The Book of Forgiving, is written by him and his daughter. And it's actually a workbook. It's highly recommended. It's on my Amazon like go-to list. You can order it if you want. It helped me to forgive a lot of my past. It helped me to forgive myself most importantly, because I think as women, we do hold that victim card, and that is what quantum healing, that is what I do. That's all about. I bring you into your Akashic and quantum realm, to a dimension, a frequency, a space where it just is. There is no right, there is no wrong. There is nothing but love. And when you disentangle from that, when you get to the root of the root of the root, because everything is rooted in either fear, victimhood, or martyrdom. And I've actually had another past life where I was a child, a girl, a female, and I was murdered just because my mother was a follower of Christ. I remember that. So, like, women have been being shut down since the beginning of time, since the beginning of everything, regardless of if we come here or not. Our spiritual selves living in these vessels have been just constantly and perpetually beaten up. And it's time that women take their power back, and it's time that women remember who they are. And that's like what it really, that is my message. Like, you don't have, it's not your story anymore. It doesn't have to be your story anymore. It can be an empowering one, and that is what you did.
Yeah. Well, and it lives in our DNA. It lives in our, ancestral lineage. We are carrying this, what could be seen as baggage. I'm choosing to not, and to look at things as more empowering. That story that we have trailing back for thousands of years, it is, I think, people like us, women like us right now, that are starting to rewrite that. And so as we do, we are healing our entire ancestral lineage.
Oh yeah, I love it. It's amazing. I'm actually from like the Irish Gypsies lineage. Like the town I'm from is home of the Irish travelers and mob bosses, and I just feel like I am so proud to just heal all of those women and even men, right? Like, just to remind, like you did what you had to do in that now, and you were surviving, and like life was not easy, and I see you and I feel you, and I'm here listening, and I'm ready to do what, to build a legacy, to make it known that like we're powerful no matter what you've been through.
Yeah, and I don't like to bash on men either. It's like, so many women. It's
Yeah.
like, down with the patriarchy, the
I
patriarchy. And I'm like,
know.
okay, so there is a patriarchal model, and we have been living in this
Yes, yes, yes.
system, but it's not like it's like men versus women. It's not like men have gotten the shit end of the stick, and
Oh, yeah, yeah. And it's funny, like when I say men, people are like, really? And I'm like, you'd be surprised. Like, I just alone, like, not even like clients, they don't even, I've had a few male clients, and just in person, like readings, and in person. I do a lot of restaurant readings, and just people who I know that are awakening and ascending. And that's everything I do. Like, I show up on social media. I might get paid by Meta. I get paid pennies. I show up every freaking day because I love it. And I say, God, source, universe, spirit, like what am I sharing today for the world to know? And then I see these people around town, and I see these people all over at parties, at events, whatever. And they're like, Allie, I know what you're talking about. Like, I love what you're doing. And then they tell me their whole life story, or they tell me what's going on. And I'm like, okay, so I don't need the recognition, like, but it's like, it's so cool. It is like you're planting that seed of empowerment, no matter who it is, whether they're liking, they don't have, none of them are liking, sharing. Occasionally they'll comment, they'll subscribe, they'll whatever, but keep doing you, because they're seeing, they're listening, even if they're not in this now getting it. Like, I had a friend also tell me, Allie, not everybody's ready for the kind of healing that you do. And that's okay. Like, I get that, but I'm still going to plant that seed. I'm still going to tell you how it is. And I've lost many of friendships over the last year, even family members that I don't speak to anymore, just being vocal about who I am and having no shame. And I've been called delusional. I've been called laughable. I've been called dangerous. I've been called a slut. I've been called like all the
witch.
things.
I'm sure a witch.
Yeah. Oh, a witch. Yeah. I mean, I've always been a witch, but yeah, like I have been called just like all the things. I've been told to kill myself, which clearly I already tried to do. So go ahead and come at me. Like, I am going to show you what it means to be empowered. I'm going to show you what it means to like be grounded, connected, and protected, live in your highest timeline, and just, yeah, live life, have fun, play the game.
Yes. Well, and you know, I think people do have to go through everybody's in their own timeline, they're on their own journey. And a lot of us, you know, do. And probably as you get higher up in the video game, maybe you start off in a different state. I don't know, but it feels like we do have to go through like, you know, a series of
That's why there's no
steps.
judgment. Yeah, there can't be
Yes.
judgment, right? Like
Yeah.
everybody's where they're at. You just reminded me that I can never I even have a original Nintendo that we got with the kids. I still can't beat the very last level. I still can't kill Bowser at the end. The very last level. I'm great at it. I can beat the whole freaking game, but I can't get that last Bowser. I'm gonna have to try now this weekend. That's gonna be on my to-do list.
Yeah, I mean, and even in our healing journeys, like you know,
Exactly.
talk therapy. Like I started with talk therapy. Well, you can talk round and round and round in circles for the rest of your life and never get out of that level, you know? But for a lot of us, it's like we start there and then you go into somatics. And the next thing, you know, you're doing spiritual healing and energy work. And it's like you're up leveling. And there's probably you're pretty high up the rung at this point, and there are a lot of people that aren't ready for that, and for them that's confronting.
That was
But
my mother-in-law. My
yeah.
mother-in-law, my mother-in-law was the one who introduced me to Many Lives, Many Masters with Brian Weiss, and I've since done the QHHT about 10 times. And she was like, I can't support you. I don't understand what you're doing. Like, you're openly bisexual, polyamorous with my son. You're doing all these, like, I don't even understand what you're talking about. Like, what happened to you? And it's like, I'm sorry, this is just the evolution of my soul. Like, this, you introduced me to all of this, and I understand that you don't get it and you're not where I am, but I'm so still grateful that you introduced me to it, because it's gotten me to where I am, and I've never felt more free to just be me. And our relationship will never be the same. That's a very long story, but amongst other family members, because of me just being who I am.
And that I think is the real like root of it. It's to get closer to who you are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I feel like it's so many of us, and I don't think this is just a women's issue. I think it's just a people issue. Like so many of us, we contort ourselves, you know? We contort
Mm-hmm.
ourselves to fit into our families. We contort ourselves to fit into society, to fit into our careers, like whatever it is. And then the next thing you know, it's like you've lived your whole life and you never really got to know you and you never honored what you want. You don't know, you have deep down desires. And those are the people on their deathbed. It's like, oh, I did all these things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
My husband said, we were talking about it the other night, the dash, you know, like that, like, what did you do with your dash? The number of years that you were alive, like on your tombstone. And because I was telling him that I just signed up with a functional medicine, a women's functional medicine practitioner, because I've done so much healing, but like my body still kind of needs to catch up a little bit. I have some stuff going on. So she told me, after I told her all of this, like my whole story, like, um, she was like, you have been through the equivalent of an 80-year-old. So I was telling my husband, and he was like, we always talk about like, what is time? Like, he's just as woo as me. And he was like, well, what if, like, you know, it doesn't even matter, like, that's, you've had your experience, like, that's it. So and he's always saying like, you're gonna, I mean, we both believe in reincarnation and like multidimensionality, but he's like, you're just gonna be sleeping for a long time, like, why don't you have a good time doing it? And I don't know, it's just, it's something that I feel like when you are open to remembering who you are, when you shut out the noise, when you are able to just own that. And it was not easy. Like, it was not, I'm gonna tell you, there were a lot of tears, there was a lot of self-doubt. I felt like I wanted to say something else too, but yeah, it's just, I feel like we've been programmed. I always think of Hotel California. That was always my early 20s karaoke song. And it's like you can check out, but you can never leave. Like this is life, this is the evolution, and it's what you make of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you
Whether
don't,
no matter how many years.
yeah. And if you only have like this experience right now, like
Yeah.
what better than to be true to yourself
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
to follow your soul's tug, the passion, the, you know, desire within your soul. Like,
Yeah. It's what it's all about. It's what
yeah.
it should be about. It's what I teach my children. It's what I want for my children. It's what I want for every single human on this planet. I have a friend and I in the same line of work. We meet every Tuesday for office hours. She's in Jersey, I'm in New York, and her and I are both very similar in the fact you could be on death row. And unless you're like a hybrid or like alien or something, like if you're a human being with a soul, like, and you're on death row, I can see your light. I could tell you what I see in you, and I could help you to at least try to tap into that truth, at least for a moment, even if it's your last meal. Like, I'm gonna show you the way, because we all deserve that. Male, female, non-binary, whatever you are. Like, it doesn't matter. Transgender, that's been going on since the beginning of time too. Who the fuck cares? Like, we all deserve to love one another and just have a good time.
The good evil dynamic, you know, what would you say, like not transhuman but other than human
Yeah, like
spirits that are
hybrid, like
around and
a
all that.
hybrid or a
That's
entity,
a
like
whole
yeah.
other podcast because that's something that I'm like,
Oh, we could talk
we're
about it. We could do
we're
another episode,
yeah, we're at
100%.
our hour now. It goes
I
so
know,
fast.
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
yeah.
But like, yeah, that's a whole other thing that it's like, yes, humans, we all have souls and we can see the light in each other, no matter how dark they might have chosen to live their life. But then there are these entities that do not. And yeah, that's a rabbit hole that would be fun to go down next time.
Yeah. Yes, definitely next time. I love it. Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh my
I
gosh.
really
Well,
like this.
we went all over the place and that was really fun and exciting. And I
Yeah,
love your story. I love hearing other women's stories. Like this is like why,
same.
I mean, podcasting is just so much fun, like to meet people all over the world, to
Mhm.
get to listen to their stories, to hear, you know, how they're making moves in the world, how they're like, you know, helping change the world, helping bring other women up is just like, I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
I would invite you if you have anything else that you feel like sharing with my audience, and also definitely like if you have any upcoming offers, if you have, you know, anything that
Very cool. Thank you.
physical products. We had talked about that a
Yes,
little
I
bit.
do. So I have, besides my energy healing business, so I offer one-on-one sessions, deep energy healing sessions. It's on my website. I have digital downloads, meditations, activations with light language and energy healing and channeled messages. On Fridays, I do Frequency Fridays healing on the go on YouTube, where 3 to 5 minute clips of a channeled message, usually light language, and then a translation with a message. I have my podcast, I have a blog, I have my
Embrace the face.
everything I do is under Embrace the Face LLC. So you can check me out on Google. I have 5-star reviews. Like I have built something out of nothing, and I established my LLC in 24 March. Actually, March 24th of 2024, I established. So I just hit 2 years. I did just share like something I'm proud of to empower other women is that my business has never been in debt. Like I've just trusted. I've just trusted in everything that I've done. Like my intuition, I keep flowing. I've developed an apothecary. So I have fire cider. So fire cider, for those of you unfamiliar, is an ancient tonic of apple cider vinegar fermented with produce, spices, and herbs. And I started out making this probably 6, 7 years ago. I would make 1 gallon for cold and flu season for myself and family and friends, whoever wanted it. Then people started buying it during COVID. And then it was still just once a year. And then people were asking me for it year round, telling me they were putting it into salad dressings and marinating their proteins and putting it in their cocktails and their mocktails. So it is for gut health. You take 1 tablespoon a day for gut health. It helps to awaken your Agni, your digestive fire. And basically, it also helps to decrease bloating, which I love it. So I take it in the morning, and then I also take it after meals. When you are sick with a viral ailment, it's like a Tamiflu or a cold medicine. It is, instead of over-the-counter cold medicine and Tamiflu, you take it up to 8 times a day. Only contraindicated in people really who have like ulcers, like really serious, like if you have an ulcer or you have like severe heartburn, like please do not take this. Or you can try it by diluting it. I am actually making, because I've had a request for a milder one, so I'm gonna definitely make one that doesn't have as much heat, because it has horseradish and ginger and black pepper and turmeric and garlic, onion, jalapeno, and cayenne. So it's definitely, so I'm gonna make a milder version. And I've gone commercial on it. I commercially produce it now. I've gotten my county's license and state license to sell and produce. And it is thanks to my customers, to my supporters, because as I posted yesterday, I never would have known there was a need to fill a demand. Like if it's literally been word of mouth. So it's been pretty cool. It's on Etsy, it's online, or just DM. You can message me privately. I also have a detox and digest tea. So this is ancient Ayurvedic cumin, coriander, and fennel tea. This is evidence-based to also awaken your digestion and your Agni, that digestive fire, your mitochondria, the powerhouse cell. So it's been shown to help awaken all your tissues in the morning and to just really help metabolize food and help at a cellular level. So I've drank this for like 3 years. And then I have a bunch of oils. So I have a pain relief oil, which is a holistic. So I've been to Jamaica almost 10 times. I've healed there, leveled up there. I tried to have a retreat there, then they had their storm. So, this is Jamaican black castor oil, jojoba oil, and DMSO, which is dimethyl sulfoxide. Oh, you're familiar with it? I love it. So DMSO is an organic process from wood. And it is utilized, fun fact, by the hospitals for bladder cystitis, so bladder pain, and then also for muscle and joint pain. It's not really sold over the counter. I mean, you can buy it medical grade over the counter, which I have in organic form, and I can sell this by the roller. I can make it on demand. I always have it available. And then every month I have a sacred box. And what is a sacred box? The sacred box is monthly organic, sensual, metaphysical items, mostly hand curated, and other products for your somatic and sensual and healing and ascension. It can be for men or women. It can be a gift. It can be whatever you want to make of it. Every month has a theme. So for example, March's theme was rebirth. The goddess was Persephone. The oil was calendula. So I make all of my oils, organic oils, and all my products are organic. And it had like a little Persephone figure, and her herbs are obviously pomegranate is her fruit, but I included herbs as angelica and hibiscus and red rose that you could utilize for a bath or just potpourri or smell, or you could burn. A tea. I had my calendula oil. I had indigenous smudging herbs. I gave everyone a palo santo and a sage, and then they got an abalone shell. And a crystal. There's always a crystal for that chakra. So this month was the solar plexus chakra. So I just started doing this a few months ago, and it's pretty popular. I make a lot of local deliveries. So if you're in the local Long Island area, I also have a lot of family down by you. So or like whatever in your local area, I can ship to you wholesale and you can sell out whatever you want to do. I'm at the local organic juice bar by me that has 2 locations. I'm on their shelves. So this is like somewhat new, but all intuition. All from channel downloads and just trusting. And then I have a 2026 astrological planner and journal. This is my 3rd annual.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So this is my 3rd annual, and I only make it because people keep asking for it. And it's well, now it's April, but it has sign placements, lunar placements. I love moonology. I'm not an astrologist, but I love moonology and understand moonology more than astrology. So that's why I do my lunar ceremonies, which is a free podcast on YouTube, and my podcast. Then daily tap-ins, all evidence-based things that you need to do for your daily nervous system regulation, self-healing, and ascension. So what are you grateful for? Your mood, you can track your cycle, the moon phase, you can dream recording. Dreams are huge. Dreams are our subconscious. I mean, I'm sure you know, right? So I have had so many things. I have a lot of prophetic dreams. So I like to record them. And then just self-care. What are you doing each and every day? So I have developed all these little things, and I have energy healing. I do restaurant readings, events, parties. I go to people's houses, and one lady recently had a hibachi person come to her house while me and my friend sat in her other room and did readings on 20 women. So we have fun. I have fun in life. I did for 15 years. I was fight or flight and the hustle, and now I'm just having fun because I have a blessed life and I'm able to, and I like to do my thing and flow.
You have a blessed life because you chose it.
I very much so did. Yes, I chose that.
You pivoted and you made hard decisions, and you got away from the pharmaceuticals and the hospital and all of the things that were dragging you down, and you became true to yourself. Yeah. And started following your light and your calling. So, really it's like, there's, I think, a misconception, that you chose that and you are honoring it. So
thank you. Yes, I am. Yeah. My husband and I are good. Like I said, we were separated and divorced, and we're not perfect, but we are at a place in our lives where we're like, wow, like life is good. And I 100% chose it, because I could have chosen to give in to those inner demons many a times. Since I was 15, from the first time I said I wanted to kill myself at 15, I could have chosen that life.
For anybody that is out there listening, it's actually a lot harder to keep choosing to go against what your soul actually wants.
Yep. Yep.
Like it's too scary. It's too hard. I couldn't do those things. No, it's actually a lot harder to keep suffering. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, Buddha says life is suffering, but you don't have to if you don't want to. So come to the other side. I always love to talk about the Hawkins scale, the destructive energies versus the creative energies. Where are you at? Where are you living? Like neutrality is in that middle at I think 250 hertz. So are you above that in the acceptance, the love, the bliss, the joy, the enlightenment? Or are you in the pride, the anger, the shame, the fear, the lack? Where are you at? Where do you want to be? And make it that. You just got to tune your frequency. Everything is energy. That's all there is to it, per Albert Einstein. So go ahead, tune that frequency, change that radio station. And it does take work. I mean, quantum healing, yes. I am 100% somebody who can sit with you and tell you what you need to know. And a lot of times people are like, holy shit, wow. And then they walk away and they're like, I can choose myself. But sometimes it takes a little work, and that's okay. It's what your soul's ready for in that now. No judgment ever. Just keep going. That's it.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right, Mama. This has been awesome.
Fun.
Yes, I will link everything in the show notes for anybody that wants to support you, to follow you, to buy your products. Firesider is awesome, by the way.
Thank you so much.
Yay! Thank you so much.
I'll send you some for sure.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, I do. Yeah. I make it, but I'm
all
lazy.
Right, cool.
I'm lazy. I'd rather have somebody else make it for me.
I got you. No problem.
Yeah, sure. Send it. All right, girl. Cool.
Thank you so much.
Want to dance with me? Go deeper with me? Have me in your back pocket, literally? Join the Ecstatic Life Academy on the Go Collab app. Link in show notes.